Come on.
Says the broadcast.
We are live. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dustin Distefano, CEO of A Place at Home Senior Care. And with me today is Aubrey Phillips, as well, it's turned into almost be, as always, our franchise business coach.
Ahoy, ahoy.
We have a special guest today in Britt Robertson, a place at home owner out in Illinois and St. Louis, Illinois. What's the exact territory, Britt?
Collinsville, Illinois. So we're right across the river from St. Louis.
Collinsville, Illinois. And today we have Britt because he wants to talk about how he became the fastest growing home care agency in the entire place at home system. And I'd almost be willing to bet in probably the top 20 percentile, probably even the top 10 percentile in the industry as a whole. I'm not going to fact check myself on that, but that's a strong statement. So maybe I should retract that, but I'm pretty confident that it was within 10%, Britt. So some things about Britt Robertson. He started back in October 2021 is when your open date was, correct?
Correct.
Your first month of business, you did upwards of $16,000. And from there, you've grown astronomically into month number 10 at $98,000 a month in care. So over a 10-month span, you've become a $1 million agency, right over $1 million agency. Not a lot of agencies can get to that growth that fast without losing sleep. Have you been sleeping well?
Pretty well for the most part. There have been nights.
Without losing some hair. When he signed his franchise agreement, he had a full set of black hair like mine.
Right.
And then also probably, I don't know what else to say, right? But you've done very, very well. I want to start by asking you the question of what did you do previously and what got you interested into starting a business? And then we'll follow it up with why senior care. But what did you do previously and what event took place in your life that you said, I want to start looking at a business?
Yeah. So previously I was in marketing research and I worked for a top Fortune 20 insurance company that specialized in Medicare. And we were in the process of launching a Medicare product. I was doing focus groups and we were doing all kinds of research. And it was all about what you want out of a Medicare Advantage product. But everybody kept talking about, I want to stay at home. I want to stay at home. I wasn't even asking the question. And so that's what got me looking into the industry with the baby boomers aging into, if not themselves yet, aging into needing care, their parents for sure. And I just started doing more and more research. I'd been in corporate America for, most of my adult life. And I really wanted to take a stab at owning my own business and kind of landed on a place at home. I liked the idea that we could have large territories. I liked the culture at a place at home. And after meeting everybody, you and Jared, and understanding the support I could get, I pulled the trigger last April 2021.
Then you jumped right into the lovely state of Illinois' regulatory and licensure state, in which it went very smooth. It went pretty smoothly though for you. I mean,
it did.
Obviously, time hurts, but that's one piece of support I hope that we were able to provide you is that licensure, and that's one thing, Britt. Like I think it was Aubrey 2 months ago, we talked about the barriers to entry in home care and the benefits of being in a good franchise system was the regulation review and licensure assistance. Can you talk about that assistance that you got, Britt, and attest to anything?
Yeah, very much so. Illinois is really separates out home health versus home care. And so with that would have been difficult for me right off coming into the industry, even though I understood senior issues, really understanding the differences between home care and skilled nursing versus in-home senior care. So with the help of the support staff at a place at home, we were able to make the adjustments, make sure we had the right licensing in place, which was not an easy choice. It sounds like, well, you should know what license you want. But that really set us in the right direction, so we didn't waste time. And Illinois was backed up a little bit because of COVID and working at home issues. So we didn't have a lot of back and forth. We were able to complete the license agreements with minimal changes going back and forth. So that was very helpful.
Yeah. All right. And I believe Danny played a huge part in that too. She's also on our team here at corporate.
Yes, Danny did, very much so.
And then, all right, so you saw a need. You're in the insurance company. You got your license. I think you got your license in September-ish. You opened your doors in October. When you were I guess the benefit, there's good and bad about the licensing process in some states. Those states that don't have any regulation, you can just open your doors and go. I've seen previously for states like that, it takes a few months to get going, right? I think the benefit you had and why you launched so quickly is that you had months to be prepared to open your doors and start getting your name around. So what did that first month of your business look like when you opened in October? What did you have in place to set you up to get to $16,000 in that first month?
Yeah. So the very first week that I had my license, I spent that week recruiting and hiring 2 experienced schedulers who had both worked in Clear Care, our system. They both had been in home care, so they complemented me with their experience. And then we really opened the doors the following week and started getting out and calling and talking to scheduling assessments. And
go ahead, sorry.
Well, by that Friday of that very first week that we were open, we had a 24/7 client.
Boom. It's a home care's dream and nightmare to start, because that's a lot of moving parts, especially when you're new. And you handled it well, very well. I think that client still with you today, 10 months in?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's a diamond in the rough.
Never missed
So very good. And it's been a great client, great experience. Big fear that someone might have is customer satisfaction for a newer agency, being able to manage something like that. And I think with you and your team and our team here, you got through it pretty well. One thing I want to take a step back is you said you hired 2, not 1, but 2 people in your office.
Yeah.
And, here at A Place at Home, we have in our franchise disclosure document currently in this last year is that we require a 2-person operation immediately following 100 billable hours a week, primarily because if we can't, a lot of owners want to save money. I get it. They want to save money and try to maximize it. But what it does is what we found over the last couple of years, and you're going to attest to this, is that it really prevents you from growth. You get sucked into the day-to-day. You stop marketing. You get on this hot trail because all you have is time when you start your home care business. And then once you get a 24/7 client, or even a 12-hour-a-day client, or even a 20-hour-a-week client, and you get a couple of those, and you got applicants you're reviewing, you got interviews you're doing, in-home assessments you're doing, visits you're doing, phones ringing, pipe bursts in your bathroom, something is always going on, and it pulls you out of your day-to-day marketing and referral source and relationship building that is a major contributor to high growth in the home care industry. But you made that investment, and that's a risk, right?
It is a risk.
You invested, I don't know if you care to share, but how much did you invest in that first couple months in employees to get you going?
Well, I'd have to do the
how much money did you, I guess, budget?
Oh, how much did I budget? Just, I figured I'd be spending close to $20,000 before I had a client. It didn't work out to be that much, but I was prepared for that.
It's about 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, and if I didn't have them, we couldn't have accepted that first client because I was out doing assessments. They were recruiting and putting caregivers through orientation.
Absolutely. So key takeaway number 1 for me is you made the investment in building an infrastructure where most home care agencies try to do it themselves as long as possible. I think that's a major contributor and probably one of the biggest hurdles most people mentally get over, because it is scary spending that money and not getting a return on that instantaneously like you did. But it worked out great for you, and we always recommend it here. So I want to switch it over to the coaching. So you meet with Aubrey every week. Aubrey is your signed franchise business coach.
Correct.
And you're also Aubrey's top performing franchisee, I believe. Aubrey, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and just to take a step back with that, Aubrey does a lot of our newer owners, and I do most of our seasoned owners. So, Aubrey and Britt, talk about the conversations you had over the first couple months. And Aubrey, how did you help, and how did you see Britt growing, and what can you attest to his business acumen?
Yeah. Well, when we first started meeting, I mean, he really has a head for this and a heart for this. So he was really trucking along long before we started working together. So there were some little odds and ends that he had been trying to pull together that he just hadn't had the time to do. Some benefits for some of his caregivers, and some paperwork along those lines. So a lot of our first few meetings was really about that kind of stuff. Insofar as helping him grow, I mean, I'd like to say that I've helped him grow, but he was off and running from the get-go. And when I did my site visit there several months ago now, and talked to him and his wife, and they talked about, in the winter months, I mean, they really work hard down there to make sure that all of their shifts are met. They don't miss any shifts. He had his wife pulling caregivers around in the snow over the winter, trying to get people to and from their shifts. So yeah, from my perspective, I think I kind of just got lucky to work with somebody that is really in the spot he's meant to be in, I think. So.
All right. And Britt, I know she's very modest and humble, but what can you say about Aubrey? How has she been able to support you and help you continue to grow? I mean, every month, you've only had one down month. I'm looking at it right now. You've only had one month where you went backwards, but then you automatically rebounded and got right back on track right after. So how has she kept your mindset, and what has she been able to do in terms of support to keep you on the right track? Or is it just you and Aubrey really, hasn't benefited you at all, which is hard to believe?
No, Aubrey's been great. It's been very helpful. Her support. She's obviously got so much experience in the industry, which is extremely helpful to not only to me, but she makes herself available to my staff. And that's very helpful because I can get a little bit one track. Grow. And it was helpful when we kind of needed to take a pause, make sure we had our processes down straight. And, it's good to hear other people have had to take a breath, if you will, and just double down on, because we don't want to grow too fast that we can't satisfy our clients. And so it just came to a point where you've got to, catch our breath and make sure that we're following all of our procedures. And Aubrey was very helpful in that. And she's very helpful in terms of bringing a caregiver's point of view to the table and an office staff's point of view to the table, which I need. So
she was an office staff member of mine, so I can relate 100%. Exactly. I think you just did the same thing. I used to walk in and be like, all right, we got a 24/7, and I'd have Danny, Aubrey, and other team members at the time saying, hey, we need to put the pause button. And me as a guy who wants to continue to grow and go, it was hard for me to say, all right, let's take a step back and make sure that the quality is there. And that's another investment in your office staff is, they can provide you good advice. And they know when things are getting stressful because they're the ones operating the business. And as business owners, we have to take that advice. And in this day and age, I think what would more hurt you and Aubrey would probably agree to this, and tell me if you agree to this. It's going to hurt you more if you take on way too much more than you can chew.
Right.
Than if you put the pause button and focus on satisfaction, because client satisfaction will ultimately take over your growth and help you grow in the future. It just helps you take a pause, readdress your infrastructure. Do we need another office employee to help with this? How many more caregivers do we need, and kind of re-strategize? So,
right.
Would you guys agree with that?
Absolutely, because it's hard for me, not only from a growth perspective, but it's hard for me to say no to a prospective client that.
Yeah, it's tough too.
It is, and we've had to do that, but I've made some relationships with some of our competitors. I don't even really view them as competitors, but some of our, other people in the area that do the same things we do, and been able to refer clients to them where necessary. And, it works out because they're willing to do the same thing. And I'd rather make sure that the client's really, really covered as well as it should be.
Absolutely. Key takeaway number 2 from me, I'm finding these left and right. Competitors are partners in this industry nowadays, right? Aubrey, we've done a webinar on that. I just posted something on that yesterday, in which it's so important to have 2 to 3 partner providers that you can refer. Now, the good problem that you have, Britt, is that you're on the other side of the coin as a new owner. So when you're on the owner side, you're like, hey, give me the client that's 6 hours a week, right? I just started, I'll take whatever I can get. And you flip to the other side where you're referring out the clients that you might not have the time to adequately take care of them, which 3 hours a week seems easy, but it's not when you have a very big agency and you're talking 20-hour-a-week clients, 40-hour-a-week clients, high need clients, and a 3-hour-a-week client comes in. And although you want to help them, use your partner and get them the help they need, because you're going to help them more because they're going to get more attention. I would say a little bit more TLC from that agency who's focusing on gaining those smaller clients. That's helping them propel their business. Right? Aubrey, would you agree with that? You got anything to add?
Oh, yeah. I mean, most definitely. And Britt is very good at his community partners and forging those relationships. He's been doing that for a while. So, yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So let's talk about community partners. So when you started thinking about relationship building, and obviously we went through training and told you our biggest referral sources. Mm-hmm. How did you focus your marketing efforts? Because I would say this right now, a big struggle for a lot of people, especially past COVID, it's getting back into the mindset. And as well as I do, take a step back. We have partnerships with with 2 different lead generation companies. I won't name them on here so they don't steal my sauce. But we have 2 different partners of lead gen. So you guys get instantaneous leads every month, 10 to 15 leads a month minimum that are through different lead generators. And what people struggle with is saying, well, I'm just going to build my business off lead generation. And you can't do that. That's one bucket of business that you get that you enjoy, and you've done well with those. But the other bucket of business is building the referral networks. What was your approach, and where did you target first to launch you?
The assisted living communities in our immediate vicinity. We have a very large territory. We haven't actually made it out to some of the outlying areas yet, but just walking in, everybody's been super receptive to hearing about us, to hearing what we do. Joining the Chamber of Commerce, a couple locations. We've met some people through that way. Walking into, when you could walk into, they kind of shut them down again, but to hospitals and home health companies. But our first was just going into assisted living, especially the ones with memory care. For some reason, we've had kind of the best success there.
Memory care? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Very high need is resources to memory care. Primarily, I would attest to a lot of memory cares are short staffed. So it can get very stressful for not only the residents, but also the staff members. So to be able to bring in private duty into those communities, because that's their home, has been one of our biggest referral sources over the course of the last 10 years. I do have a question that I just saw in the pop-up on Facebook, Britt, from Miss Jennifer Ramos. If you can hear me, hello.
Oh, yes, hello, Jennifer.
Everyone knows Jennifer here. Aubrey's a big fan. I'm a big
Yeah.
fan. Her question for Britt: what has been a driving force for you, Britt, that has made the greatest impact to your growth since you started? Good question.
Yeah, good question. I think, well, from my perspective, we pay and align the office staff based on growth, and everybody's fully aligned and comped based on our growth. And we review it every week, or try to every week, most weeks. And they're very motivated. Next year we'll add a customer satisfaction component into that comp as we get bigger and bigger. But everybody's aligned in the same direction. We know that we can't grow without recruiting caregivers, so we're constantly advertising and recruiting. Thankfully, we're getting off of the paid kind of advertising. Not completely, we still have to advertise there, but we're getting more and more word of mouth referrals from our current caregivers, which we love. We would love to not be on any paid job sites and just get word of mouth referrals. That's probably not possible right now, but because marketing's one thing, but if you don't have the caregivers to stand behind what you're out there selling to, it's not worth anything. So it's really been that two-pronged. The office staff is aligned. They're motivated to answer the phones and take referral calls and leads and recruit. And they go hand in hand.
Absolutely. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I'm gonna key takeaway number 3, Aubrey, on building the fastest growing a place at home in history of a place at home is you made a bonus structure for your office staff so that they're all working towards the common goal. So they're all rowing the boat, right? They all drank the Kool-Aid.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Can I add something real quick?
Yes.
Yeah. So I just wanted, especially with driving force, et cetera. I said in the beginning that when Britt and I first started working together, there was some administrative stuff he wanted to take care of for his staff. And some of that was benefits, not for his office staff, but for his caregivers. And I remember he was like, as soon as possible, because I've told my caregivers that these benefits are coming and I haven't had time to execute. So he really puts even his caregiver staff at the forefront of his mind and has been from the beginning. So it doesn't surprise me that you're getting a lot of word of mouth referrals, like caregiver wise, but also something that I noticed and I talk about all the time when I was there for my site visit is that both Jessica and Michelle, that phone was ringing constantly with both caregiver and like referral, like clients or prospects. Either one of them was able to take those phone calls and absolutely just like run with them, to be honest with you. I mean, you've like really poured into your staff, like the training and everything. So I'm sure that that bonus is definitely something that they want, but I think you really poured into them enough to have them so bought into what you're doing there. And we did some marketing when I was there, and both of them just in every community we went to just knew exactly what to say. They connected really well with everybody. So I think your staff has a huge part to do with it, and you're the one who's pouring into them like that.
Yeah, thanks.
So you made an interesting statement there. So now you mentioned you hired 2 schedulers or senior services coordinators, but now both of them have been professional. Am I getting this right? I didn't know this. Are they both doing marketing for you too now?
Well, we kind of changed the roles, just tweaked them a little bit. And called them scheduler field supervisors, because we also felt they needed to be out. But yes, so they're comped on any assessments that they set. If they're in the office, the phone rings, or if they're on call and get a hot lead, set an assessment, there's a comp there, and then a comp if we close that. So both of them are really good at answering the phone and talking about what we do. They're also, they're both capable of marketing, and we'll all go to events together. But we haven't actually all done pure like community liaison type work yet. So it is a little bit of a hybrid role. They're definitely marketing in terms of anytime they're out with a client or talking to a lead. But at this point, they're not out visiting assisted livings.
Okay.
Other than during the routine course of business, because we have a client in that particular.
Oh, okay.
But they are both capable of it.
And they're really invested. I mean, after the first time that Jessica took a call from a prospect, after she hung up, I mean, we were all in your conference room. I think it was in the middle of our meeting, and she asked directly for feedback. She was like, you know, how did that sound from your end? You know, and this is what I mean, it's fantastic to see that. I loved that. I loved
and we role play and
that's
they
awesome.
don't all necessarily love that, but
you got the culture going. You got everything rolling. You're growing. You just turn on. I mean, that's the thing. You grew so fast. You didn't even have customer quality assurance programs through Home Care Pulse turned on yet, and I believe you just got those turned on this past month, right? So you'll start getting your surveys. I'm very interested to see with everything that you've put in place, your customer satisfaction and employee satisfaction score. From the looks of it, it sounds like you're going to be in contention next year potentially for an award for that customer satisfaction and employee satisfaction if you got everyone bought in. We have 3 minutes left. I had a quick question to follow up on. You said you're getting a lot of caregiver referrals. Are you paying referral bonuses to caregivers?
Yes.
And what does that look like?
It's $150 if we hire the person and they're still with us in 3 months.
$150. So easy money for caregivers to get as long as they just give your name out there. And then, yes, the retention piece for at least 90 days. Right. And the nice thing about that too is they're friends. You kind of use your caregivers to say, hey, listen, I'm going to get this $150 in 90 days. Like, they are also advocating for you to stay on board, which then helps your retention in the long run as well. So you turn Aubrey did a great presentation, how to turn caregivers into your brand ambassadors. Last year was one of the best reviewed presentations of all time at A Place at Home as well, behind like 5 of mine. But other than that, I'm kidding. It was probably better than any I've ever done. So, so that's awesome. Yeah. Shed a tear. You did it last week. I want to close with this. I just wanted to get that information out there for any home care businesses looking at this. To end, what's next, right? You're almost at $1 million. You have 2 office staff employees. You have yourself. You have 3 people pumping. There's some things that we're working on, and you know what they are, and I'm not going to call them out here to get that thing back, keep it going. But what's next for Britt Robertson in terms of employee? What are you looking for next? Because there might be people watching saying, I want to work for this guy. Yeah.
Well, always need caregivers, good qualified caregivers, of course. But that's something we're looking at where probably it's going to either be more of an overall office manager, or it could be someone who really wants to take charge of the community liaison piece and really get focused on that again.
So Jen Ramos is watching this. Maybe she'll move to Illinois.
Yeah, maybe she'd be great.
Man,
her out there. No, she's busy. I think she has like 6 different businesses that she runs now. So so sales and marketing is one avenue, and office management, so billing and payroll and paperwork and all that kind of stuff.
Right. More of the
Right.
HR aspect.
In HR. Hey, she said, Jen just commented, laugh out loud. When do I sign? Send an agreement. Close it down. Well, Britt, I want to say thank you. Our time's up here. We got you coming into convention. You're turning into a leader of the brand. A lot of people ask, how's he doing it? And I think we hit the nail on the head with this video of how you did it. Is there, again, closing remarks from you? If anyone's watching this wanting to own a home care company, we always like endorsements. Would you recommend a place at home to anyone viewing out there?
Yeah, absolutely. You get a lot of good support. It's a good brand too. I don't underestimate the branding. People love it. I mean, I get so many comments on my car, the shirts. All the caregivers are wanting shirts. It's the Tree of Life is just a great.
Yeah.
It's a good logo too. So yeah, and I love the fact you can have a big territory.
Yeah,
absolutely. All right, well, we'll sign off with that. Thank you guys so much, Britt. Thank you. Keep going, Aubrey. I'll probably see you next week on here.
All right,
Bye.
thank you.